Reporter corners Mark Carney in public as wife's new book triggers wave of serious questions. In a dramatic turn of events, newly appointed Prime Minister Mark Carney finds himself at the center of a political storm, as his wife Diana Carney's recent biography, Canada's First Lady, has ignited a firestorm of criticism and raised pressing questions about transparency, leadership, and the future direction of Canada's government. Released just days before Carney assumed office on March 14th, Diana Carney's memoir has been met with widespread backlash. Critics argue that the book's title, Canada's First Lady, is presumptuous, given that Canada does not have an official First Lady. The timing of the release, coinciding closely with her husband's ascension to the prime ministership, has further fueled perceptions of opportunism and a lack of transparency. The book's content has also come under scrutiny, with reviewers labeling it as egotistical fluff, questioning its relevance and substance. The memoir's portrayal of Diana Carney's role in the political landscape has raised concerns about the blurred lines between personal ambition and public service. Critics see the book as a symbolic gesture that undermines the gravity of the political office Mark Carney has just assumed. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Carney himself has faced mounting scrutiny over how he has managed his leadership responsibilities since taking office. While he's touted as an experienced former central banker with a global outlook, Carney's approach to politics and governance has led many to question whether his credentials translate into effective leadership. His first weeks in office have been marked by controversy, especially as he has largely avoided answering critical questions from the media. The public and press alike have noted his tendency to evade questions on sensitive matters such as taxes, immigration, and crime reform. In one particularly telling moment, Carney was chased down by Rebel News reporters, but his security team intervened, blocking access to the Prime Minister and preventing him from being questioned further. This move raised significant concerns about his commitment to transparency and accountability, as the public rightfully expects their leaders to engage in open and honest discourse. Critics argue that this lack of engagement signals an administration that values control over transparency and has little regard for the need for accountability. Even more troubling for Carney's credibility was his lack of response to the growing calls for clarity surrounding his policies and the controversy surrounding his wife's book. As the public began to question his leadership, he largely remained silent. Instead of facing these questions head-on, Carney's responses often veered toward vague statements, and his actions seemed calculated to avoid the uncomfortable reality of answering for the growing doubts surrounding his administration. The incident only served to strengthen the perception that Carney is detached from the realities facing ordinary Canadians and is more concerned with controlling his image than addressing the serious concerns of the electorate. Adding to the growing list of challenges for Carney's leadership, the issue of party loyalty and maneuvering within the Liberal Party has also sparked controversy. Reports suggest that Carney's team has been actively courting members of the New Democratic Party, NDP, in an effort to secure a majority in the House of Commons. It's rumored that the Liberals are looking for defections from the NDP, possibly with the aim of gaining enough support to avoid a coalition government. One striking detail is the involvement of Elizabeth May, leader of the Green Party, who has reportedly offered to step in as Speaker of the House to help facilitate this shift in power. While Carney has publicly rejected the idea of an official coalition with the NDP, this pursuit of individual defections raises important questions about the ethical implications of such political strategies. It also leads to concerns about whether the integrity of the party has been compromised in pursuit of political gain. This type of political maneuvering contrasts sharply with the selflessness and loyalty displayed by some within the Conservative Party. Conservative MP Damien Kurek, a stalwart of the party, recently made a notable gesture by stepping down from his position to allow Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party, to run in the safe Alberta seat of Battle River Crowfoot. Kurek's move, seen as a sacrifice to strengthen his party's position, has been lauded as an example of personal loyalty and commitment to the party's principles. Despite the fact that Kurek was just 6 months away from qualifying for his pension, he stepped aside without hesitation. In contrast to this act of sacrifice, some are drawing attention to the contrast with figures like Jagmeet Singh, leader of the NDP, who has been accused of clinging to power for personal gain, prioritizing his own political security over party interests. Kurek's selflessness has garnered praise, while Carney's strategy of seeking NDP defections leaves many wondering whether it reflects a lack of commitment to genuine party values. Poilievre himself has been quick to thank Kurek for his loyalty and has promised that Kurek will have a place in the Conservative cabinet once the party regains power. Poilievre's leadership, in contrast to Carney's, is being viewed as more transparent and grounded in principle. The fact that Poilievre is making these gestures to unify the party while simultaneously focusing on policy issues like crime reform and economic recovery is gaining him significant support from both the public and conservative insiders. One cannot overlook the broader implications of Carney's leadership style and the way it plays into his political narrative. For many, Carney's handling of these early weeks in office is reminiscent of former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's leadership style, which often relied on flashy gestures and political optics rather than substantive policy. Carney's critics fear that he, too, may rely on similar strategies that prioritize style over substance, with some going so far as to suggest that his promises of transformative change for Canada's economy may only be window dressing for a much more politically expedient agenda. These critics worry that Carney's so-called economic reform plan may simply be a continuation of the net zero agenda, with backroom deals benefiting the same corporate elites and political insiders who have long influenced Canadian politics. As these concerns mount, many are watching Carney closely, expecting him to outline a clearer vision for Canada's future. Will he truly prioritize the needs of ordinary Canadians, or will his leadership end up serving only the interests of a select few? With tensions growing over issues like rising crime, housing affordability, and economic stagnation, Carney's ability to address these challenges head-on will be crucial in determining his political future. Another layer of complexity was added when, just days before his official appointment as Prime Minister, Carney was thrust into an international spectacle with the arrival of King Charles to Canada. The royal visit, seen by some as a symbolic gesture to reinforce Canadian sovereignty, was met with mixed reactions. While some saw it as an opportunity to highlight Canada's status as an independent nation, others viewed it as a mere display of scripted pageantry with little real substance. Critics argue that Carney's reliance on symbolism and optics, such as the royal visit and his focus on image, instead of directly addressing pressing policy issues, is reminiscent of the same theatrics that plagued Trudeau's time in office. In addition to these controversies, Carney's stance on crime reform has also drawn attention. While he has recently expressed a tough-on-crime approach, many remain skeptical of his sincerity. Critics point out that much of his rhetoric has been more about positioning himself politically than about delivering real, meaningful changes. There's a growing sense that Carney's crime reforms may be little more than political theater designed to placate the public and distract from his administration's deeper flaws. The public's trust in Carney's ability to implement real reform will depend on whether he can move beyond rhetoric and make substantial changes to the criminal justice system. As the controversies surrounding Carney's leadership continue to unfold, questions about his commitment to genuine governance, transparency, and integrity remain at the forefront of the public's mind. The growing concerns surrounding his handling of both personal and political matters have left many questioning whether Carney is the right leader to guide Canada through these turbulent times. With the nation's future at stake, Canadians are watching closely, hoping for answers and transparency from their new Prime Minister. In the coming weeks, it remains to be seen whether Carney will be able to weather this storm or whether his political career will suffer irreparable damage. The political and public reaction to his administration's handling of both the Canada's First Lady controversy and the growing skepticism about his leadership will play a pivotal role in shaping the future of Canadian politics. The stakes are high. Only time will tell if Carney can regain the trust of the Canadian people and prove that his leadership is more than just optics and political maneuvering.